Black culture is toxic.
Yes.
The black culture is toxic.
We
have
Hammond B
produced
right
a
there.
culture that is toxic.
Okay, can we pause it right there? This is what I wanted to ask you, probably more than anything, Virgil. Black culture is toxic. That was what was just said. Okay? And we would point back to the reason for that primarily. There are other factors, I'm sure, but primarily being broken homes.
Right.
No father,
Right.
no dad,
Right.
disintegration of the familial structure, eroding that foundation away, which leads to higher rates of incarceration, more propensity to join a gang, like, you know, access to all these other services, schools, all the rest, like, you know, all that. But my question is, why? Why is the culture of this particular community, when it's most likely owing to this at the center of the problem, why does it affect them so much? Why that culture? Is it just because of the media's influence, rap music? Is it because of the Democrat politicians? Like, how did it get like this, and why does it impact them so much?
I think a dear friend of mine, Chad Johnson, does a fantastic job in
Ocho Cinco?
No.
No, he was just on with Cross Politics talking about the MLK stuff.
Bro, I would highly recommend his work. Okay. Because what he's done is he's traced that historically. He's traced that narrative historically of how Black families, one, were connected to a biblical worldview, right out of slavery. In fact, some of the best progress that Blacks had made in every category, from economics to reading to education, you name it, took place actually right after slavery up until 1960. So you saw some of the best things happening. Why? Because Blacks primarily were connected to a biblical worldview. There was a mom and dad in the home at 90%. They were having children as a family, and they were going to church, and they were listening to the gospel be preached. They were trying to inculcate their kids with the kind of values that you and I hold dear. All of those things were happening until right around 1960, when the Civil Rights Act pushes forward all these Marxist ideas. And you saw evidences, and he tracks it incredibly well in his movies.
So Virgil, you're saying the civil rights movement was a negative?
I would argue
that's anathema to most people.
I would argue it's the biggest negative impact on the Black community that we've.
That's a statement right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, that's why you don't have that card.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I just don't think I grew up going to public school too. Like, I went to private school, but public school. But you remember there's a portion of grade school where you get to where you celebrate civil rights.
Yep.
Right. There's a holiday.
And this is an AJ where it's like straight honky tonk.
Come on. But civil rights, like, how can you be against that?
Yeah.
And I think what you're referring to is because underneath that there are pernicious ideologies that gave theological structure to them that weren't based on Christianity, only in name.
Right.
Only using the name of Christ to bring about the kind of change that they wanted to see. But meanwhile, you had what? Like liberation theology, kind of a Marxist critical race theory structure. Am I wrong about that?
No, you're spot on. I was trying to reference the book, Christopher Caldwell's book, Age of Entitlement. It's a fantastic book. I think I would commend it to your audience.
I'll check that out.
It's a must read. It really kind of lays out historically how we got to where we are as it pertains to issues like this. How did people become so entitled that they believe government is the solution for every problem that they have? As it relates to the civil rights movement, and why I think that way about it is because what it intended to do went too far in doing. I think the civil rights was right to say, hey, Jim Crow laws are evil and wicked, and we should do away with those. Absolutely. But when it goes to telling a business owner, a private business owner, that he must serve someone based upon the color of their skin, that's wrong. Period. Point blank. If I'm a business owner and I make the stupid decision to serve only one ethnic group,
you'll suffer for it.
I will suffer for it. I'll suffer the consequences of that. I think about the battle that really kind of launched the whole civil rights movement, which was the Montgomery bus boycott.
Rosa Parks,
the Montgomery bus boycott. All that happened in that was right. What happened? Blacks left the buses. They became self-sufficient. They figured out ways to get to where they were going. They paid all of the economics that was going to the buses initially from black people, they were 60, 70% of bus riders. They left the bus and went to paying each other it was the first black Uber. I mean, they were their own Uber system, and those economics. What they thought was what the civil rights movement, NAACP, and others thought was, this bus boycott will last a week, 2 weeks tops, last 13 months. Right. Wow. And the whole process ends up going to the Supreme Court, and a decision gets made that it was illegal for the buses that was the proper methodology, right? Yeah. For our system and structure to say, hey, that's wrong, legally, constitutionally, and so we're going to reverse that. And here's what now you, a government entity, the bus system was a state-run entity. This is what you will now do. Where it went too far was when it said, you, the business owner, the private business owner, have to do what we say do, and as a result, you're going to have to serve black folks. So where civil rights went wrong was the idea of now having received this power, men like King and others said, oh, we're going to do sit-ins at Sears and Roebuck's. We're going to do sit-ins at lunch counters. We're going to do because we need this power that the government has now given, and we need to move it into the private sector. Totally wrong. And that whole mindset informed blacks for how they must then go about getting freedom, reparations, any kind of thing that they wanted from government.
The sponsor for this week's episode is Heritage Defense. Heritage Defense is a nonprofit legal advocacy organization dedicated to advancing the kingdom of Christ by protecting and empowering the biblical family. If any three-letter agencies show up at your door, have peace of mind knowing that an attorney who shares your values is available round the clock to advise and advocate for your family. Protect your household today. Use the discount code Apologia and get your first month's membership free. Visit heritagedefense.org for more.